Michael Rainville. Councilmember Rainville is a lifelong resident of Ward 3. He's been married for 35 years to his wife, Darcelle, and they're very proud of their son, Michael Rainville Jr., who works at the Minnesota History Center and is also the historian for Mill City Times. So, some things I want to tell you about Michael. He graduated from De La Salle High School. He received a degree in marketing from St. Thomas and a certification in nonprofit management from Notre Dame. Michael Rainville started his career in the hospitality industry as a dishwasher and a bartender before joining the Minneapolis Convention and Visitors Association / Meet Minneapolis, where he was part of the team that successfully built the hospitality industry in Minneapolis to a 36,000 job economic engine. He serves currently on the City Council on the Public Health and Safety Committee, the Budget Committee, the Business Inspections, Housing and Zoning Committee, and the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Now, at that time, I was now speaking about him as a council member, but it's really important just to understand him as a person too. So as a private person, he served for 35 years on his neighborhood association in St. Anthony West. He saved the Ritz Theater from being demolished, and he built the relationships with Ballet of the Dolls and Theater La Tida, which have kept it open as a performing arts center. Michael advocated for and obtained funding for the Memorial for Survivors of Sexual Violence over at Bloom Island. He led the neighborhood in developing the fishing pier at the B.F. Nelson Park. He worked with the World War II veteran at Carbo to build the Veterans Memorial on the river in the Sheridan neighborhood. He also worked with our sister city in Ibaraki, Japan, to install and dedicate the Bell of Two Friends on Nicollet Island. He brought together the Northeast Business Association and the Neighborhood Association to establish the second precinct substation across the street from Cervix. Michael also worked with neighbors to create the stormwater wildflower gardens in the medians along Main Street Northeast, and brought together the Sisters of St. Joseph, Carondelet, and People Incorporated to repurpose the convent on Northeast 2nd Street as a living and learning space for the deafblind community. He also worked with the St. Anthony and Sheridan neighborhoods to relocate the Pierre Bottineau Library to the Grain Belt Brewery space, and he raised $200,000 to restore the fountain there. So without further ado, I will introduce you to Michael Rainville.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Eileen. It's amazing what you can do in your life when you just do a little bit at a time. And in that vein, I wanted to recognize what a friendship I had with Muriel Botnick when she was at the Art Godfrey House. So I would work with her up there on East Santa Fe. She was tireless, just a great advocate for your club and represented your club so well. She's a very, very classy lady. So happy to be here in her house. But I'm also very happy to introduce A Mother's Love. There's just something about Lisa and all her friends that you just want to help them. Their main mission, if I can simplify it and you'll learn more, is to help the mothers. And by helping the mothers, you help strengthen the family, you help the fathers, you help everybody. You really do what someone like me in a position of government cannot do. We cannot help. Government cannot do what you're doing. And so I am so grateful that you're here today to give up your time and explain in detail what they do to be so helpful. I actually admired Lisa from afar. I would read in the paper. How many years has it been since you started, Lisa? 9 years. So I was working at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We had a big convention in town. I was working with the police for some extra safety on Hempton Avenue. It was a girls' volleyball tournament there from the small towns, maybe a little naive. And so down there, keep an eye. And I saw Lisa and her group. I had first noticed some young mothers with strollers, and it was about midnight. And I thought, goodness, what are those mothers doing down there with those babies at noon? They should be fed and washed and sleeping. But I knew I couldn't say anything. And sure enough, here comes Lisa and a couple of her friends. And they had a very calm, casual conversation, asked what they could do to help. And pretty soon, the mothers were bringing their babies home to go to bed instead of being out in the streets at night. And I always remember that, and I've always kept in touch. And now that I have the help, the chance to help, that I have the opportunity to help, I am there for them. And so on July 25th, mark in your calendars, Eileen and I, Councilmember Latricia Vita, Councilmember Lisa Goodman, many members of the downtown community, we're going to host a fundraiser here to help raise some funds to help support Mother's Love. Because at the end of the day, by supporting their group, we are supporting mothers that need that help in North Minneapolis. And ironically, that is why the Women's Club exists, is to help mothers, to help families. So what a full circle everything is in life. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Lisa. And I'm very sorry, but I do have to run back to City Hall, so I can't sit here for this. But I hope to be back soon. And I also hope to see you all on the 25th. Thank you.
Councilmember, sorry about that, dropping my keys. But if you want to donate today, you can. You don't have to wait. But it's an honor to be here. I thank you, Eileen. Councilmember Rainville has been very supportive of us as women and as mothers. When I started this organization in 2014, it was after I retired from Minneapolis Police Department. I have to stop and say, I always feel proud when I come in this space, because it was the pioneers, the women before us, who made us possible, made us be a voice in our community for change and for resources to families in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but to the 3-ring and 4-ring suburbs. So I do want to say thank you for this and for having us here. I started this organization because I went to a lot of meetings when I was a police officer, and those meetings were always about African-American boys and men, and we want those meetings. But what they didn't talk about was 70 to 80% of the households being headed by African-American mothers. So you're trying to fix our children, which we appreciate, but if you didn't fix the broken mom, you did not fix our children. So I would get out of these meetings and just like, oh my God, why can't they see that what you do with our kids in 3 to 6 hours, they still come back home to me, and I'm struggling. And a lot of it for me as a police officer was dealing with a lot of families who had lost someone to violence with guns. So if I'm broken in my home, you just gave my kid a break from my grief and trauma, but you sent them right back to me to still live in my grief and trauma. So I decided that I would put together this program, and I couldn't sleep, and I wrote this whole program, and I called my younger sister, and I said, I need a real program with some classes, curriculum. I need you to help me do that. So we put together this program, and I handpicked the women who came to the table with me. Because it was important for me, a young black girl coming from poverty, it was important for me to represent the people that we would encounter throughout the different communities. So I chose people who had been domestic abuse survivors, who had been addicted and had survived that, come from poverty, single parent home, a 2-person home, people who had experienced a child who was in prison or they themselves had been there, or experienced a child or family member lost to violence with guns by police officers, or someone in our community who looks just like them. That was important for me, for us to meet people where they were and be able to say, I've been where you are, and this is how I became who I am. So I know, yes, you can do this. So I created this program, brought people to the table. I didn't have any money. I had not one dime of money, and people didn't take it serious that this woman was out here trying to do this work on the ground, because they did really see this as a man's thing to do. It took Chief Arredondo and Deputy Chief Art Knight to say, hey, we have a problem downtown, which is what Councilmember Rainville's talking about. We have this problem downtown with young mothers who are out here all hours of the night with their young children in strollers. Can you come down here? I said, we'll do you one better. We'll come down there with resources We will come down there and talk to people who are having mental health issues, addiction issues. We won't just focus on one, we'll focus on all. So that's what we went down to do, and that was the first time a Mother's Love had a door opened to us, and ironically it was men who opened the door to us, but it was women who opened it and kept it open for us. So I'm appreciative of being here, but what we learned was there is no one size fit all when you're addressing families in the community. So we created other programs from that to include tutoring, a boys to men program. When we do our women empowerment classes, and they'll tell you this, the men call us to say, can we come? So, you know, we don't say no, because if you're part of a family, we want to empower you as well. So we always say yes. But we created a girls rock program because we had them in the same space with women, and they were saying, but the things I want to say, I can't say because my mom is in the room. So we had to create a girls rock program just so young girls could express how they were feeling. And as you talk to each one of them, it took us into JDC, which is Juvenile Detention Center. We are now going into Hennepin County jails. We are trying to change the narrative of women, especially those coming from single parent homes. We are trying to change that narrative because we believe that saving the mother saves the child, saving the father saves the family, and saving the family saves our community. That is what's going to make us safe. So we're starting from that root of who bears that fruit, and that is the mother. So I'm gonna let all of them talk, because y'all know if I keep going, I'll tell everybody's story. Thank you. Hi, I am, Donna Anderson, and I am the Chief Operations Officer for Mother's Love. We have phenomenal programming for our youth and families, and one of the things that was important when we sat down and developed the programs is that we had to have a base. There had to be some kind of base curriculum that we taught everyone. The topics may be the same, but the content was different. So from our Sisters Helping Sisters program, some of the women brought their boyfriends and husbands. And they got as much and even more sometimes out of our classes than the women did. Then they started saying, well, what about us? And then we developed the Boys to Men program. So our Boys to Men program has two components. Part of the program is for adult men over 18. The other part of the program is for young men under 18. Each of them go through the same types of classes: grief and trauma, domestic violence, how to be a leader in my community, all the hats and roles I have to play. How do I manage and balance all of this? How do I manage my household? How do I become the man that I want my son to be? And how do I become the grown man that I see out in my community that's doing all this good work? And the Boys to Men program was developed. What I love about it is each family, regardless if it's the Boys to Men, Girls Rock, adults or young people, receive a mentor. That mentor walks with them through setting their goals. We won't do the work for them, but we will walk alongside them, encourage them, and help them attain the goals that they set for themselves to change the narrative of their family's life. We have young men from all walks of life. We have adult men from all walks of life, and we encourage them through the programming that we offer to move into our careers, the Pathways to Careers program, which you'll hear about later. We have 7 people registered right now, 6 men, 1 woman, going into the Luther Automobile Repair Technician program. That is amazing. We want to offer our families, regardless if you're coming to our weekly groups, or you're coming on a family field trip, or if you're just coming with us to work alongside of us in the community. We want each member of the family to gain something that they can take back inside their home, inside their schools, and outside in their community that will benefit first them and their family, and ultimately the community. Thank you. This is our troublemaker.
As you see, I'm a little different. I have a black shirt as opposed to a pink shirt. Hi, my name is Hartens Holly, and I am originally from North Minneapolis, born and raised. And my parents are also in North Minneapolis, came from Texas years ago. And I have a love for children, so they kind of call me the teen whisperer. I head up the JDC program, the Juvenile Detention Center, where we go down weekly for an hour and a half. And we meet with the girls from ages 12, I think the youngest one has been 11 to 18. We facilitate classes, we talk about problem solving, we talk about how to be productive in the community, how to mend the relationship with your mother, because you're here for a reason, right? And so we go down there every week, me and my co-partner, Kisa, who's not here today, and we facilitate classes down there. And once the girls leave the Juvenile Detention Center, they can contact us, and we will mentor them along the way, along with their mother and the rest of their siblings. What's so ironic about that story, it started out with us just going in to teach the classes. We've built relationships. For Mother's Day, and Lisa doesn't even know this, for Mother's Day, the most special call that I have, and I have my own children, was the call that I received from Shakopee, from a young lady that was sentenced to Shakopee for a few years, and she's 18. And she wanted to make sure that she reached back out to tell me thank you and how much she loved me. And that means more than everything else that you can do when you know that you're changing the narrative of someone's life. And even her mother called. So not only do we do JDC, we also head up, as you see the back of my shirt, the Metro Transit team. So as you know, most of the children ride the bus, and they are a menace on the bus and at BCTC Transit and over on Lake Street. So I have a team of young women that also go out to the Metro Transit daily, and we stay out there for about 4 hours. And what we found is now the kids come looking for us. What days are you going to be here? Well, what time are you going to be here? And so since we've been out there for the last couple of months, violence has gone down, vandalism has gone down. So now we're having to come out on the weekends, because when we're not there, then they come back on the weekends. But just building that relationship throughout the community means so much. We did send 2 girls to prom this year. You can see them in my phone later. They were absolutely gorgeous. They came to the transit. They did not have resources to go to prom, and they really wanted to go. And the team worked together to make that dream come true for them. And to see their families' faces and see the parents just knowing that their daughter is doing something different, knowing that their sons are doing something different. We pass out job applications. I think we had a job fair last week for Minneapolis Public Works to try to get them in a career path. We know that if we can get them to working, we can get them off of the street. And we can do that with your help, to help us employ more people, to train more people, to get out in the community and reach the people that we're trying to reach, the young people. So both boys and girls, but my specialty, I love the young girls, young mothers. I do have another mentee, and then also I have a young mentee that just had her baby a year ago. He just turned a year. When she came to the program, she was broken, she was homeless, she was barely in school. She will be graduating in June. She's in her own apartment, and she is employed. And so those are the success stories, even if it's just one person at a time, to change the community. But then their friends come back and say, hey, how can I be a part of that program? And this is my last one. So yesterday at Metro Transit, there was a young lady sitting in a car, and I could tell there was some stuff in the back of her car. And my teammate said, hey, let's talk to her. Okay, so we walked up, and we began, we said, hey, do you need some resources? She said, yes, I just moved out of my place. I'm homeless. I just finished my first year of nursing school, and I just need some help. I need somebody to walk with me and help me. So we got all her information, gave her a couple dollars to go get something to eat and get some personal hygiene items, and we're meeting with her again today. But she's in nursing school, so she's on the right path. She just needs somebody to hold her hand, right? And that's what we're gonna do for her. And so, yeah, you can see more pictures and look us up on the website if you have any more questions, and we'll be here after to talk about more of what we do.
She's one also one of the tutors in the summer and through the school year. If you're online, we tutor. So we bring you to our outreach house, which was purchased by the Luther family, thankfully. And so she comes in, her and another young lady come in to tutor kids who are online. And then in the summer, they help us tutor kids from kindergarten through 6th grade. So she was so nervous, I told her she could write it down and read it, and then you guys had some questions for her, you can ask.
Thank you so much. So yes, my name is Jirai Weglars. As a tutor of Mother's Love Initiative, I strive to focus on each and every scholar's personal journey. Each child I work with has a different learning path and a pace, so I work with my children in an easy 3-step way. First, by adapting to the scholar's learning style so they feel comfortable too, and then approaching that in a way so they are actually comfortable to be ready to learn and not like a lot of kids get shy when they don't know answers or they're scared to ask for help. So I try to make sure they're comfortable so they are ready to learn and are able to execute each and every lesson. My third way is just adjusting to the scholar and having them implement better academic skills such as reading, writing, studying, and organizational skills, while also advocating for themselves where they struggle or may need that extra attention from us. We work hard on removing challenges that a structured environment may bring to some scholars by creating a stress-free learning space by not just tapping into their education, but also tapping into each and every scholar's gifts and talents. Scholars were struggling with grades, they were failing, coming from D's, and then while working with them, we got them up to A's and B's, and now I have some students that are even getting honor roll certificates. So the proof is in the pudding. But more than anything, it's the time and investment that you give. You have to have someone who cares, who wants to see a child grow into the best that they can be, the brightest that they are. I do my best to let each child understand there is no cannot in their vocabulary. No matter what they put their mind and hearts to, they will succeed and achieve it. And we as a Mother's Love will always be right there cheering them on and never letting them give up, seeing that education is key and that knowledge is always power. Thank you so much.
It's gonna take me a minute to get over there.
Hello. I am LaWanda Flowers, and I am the administrative assistant of Mother's Love. I'm also an outreach worker. I am going to talk to you today about our community service program that we do. So what we do, me and Don Esther and a few of others, we work with women who have to do community service. Hennepin County came up with a program for them to be able to do community service, and what we teach is beading and crocheting. And I love crocheting. So that was an easy fit for me. So what we do is we meet with them every other Wednesday. They come in, we hold topics, so kind of like our empowerment classes. We discuss those different topics with them, but it's kind of more relaxed, free-for-all conversation, and however they want to open up to us and things like that, they do. But during that process, we're crocheting or we're beading and making, I think one of the days they made charm bracelets. And so they were so excited about that process. Crocheting is a little bit harder for them, but they're working on it. But what I love about it is the relationships that we have made with these women. A lot of them are very young. I want to say maybe 19 to probably about 30 or 25 or 30. And I have one that is, I call her my baby. She's 22. But she is so amazing, and it was instant click with me and her. She's walking a path that is struggling for her, and I don't want to tell too much of her business, but it was an incident that she had, and excuse me, I'm a crybaby, but it was an incident that I was not able to make that class. And so she had a trauma happen to her the night before, and she instantly when she got to class, she asked Don Esther to give me a call. And in that call, she was very distraught and very sad and crying. And but she said, I couldn't see myself Sorry. Sorry.
They call it detriment.
She said I couldn't see myself talking to anybody else regarding this situation that she had to go through. And it instantly made me feel gratification that I was connected and put in the right place for this young lady. At that specific time, she needed somebody. And I was able to be that filler for her. And so it was very important. We are Black women up here, but we don't just deal with Black women. We deal with women of all races. If they need us, we're there for them. Race doesn't matter to us. And so I'm so grateful for the work that we do. It's not always easy, and sometimes mentally for us, because of the things we see, we sometimes bring it home with us, but we keep going and we keep fighting because we're needed out there, and we don't let anybody deter us from what it is that we need to do. And so I appreciate you guys so much for caring enough about us to be here for us. And I want us to, I love the connection. We love this place. So anytime Eileen says, come, we're on our way. So we love this place. And so I hope that we forge many more relationships with you guys. And we would love for you guys to come and visit the resource house to actually see the setup of it. We would love that, to take a tour, to see where we work out of, to see what, what we do. So I just want to say thank you, but, and I appreciate how much you guys see what we're doing and the importance of it. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Monica Weglars, and Daria's my daughter. I'm very proud right now. And I'm the outreach and resource specialist. So this meeting, she does Metro Transits. There's a referral process that we have that they fill out. They all come to me. Donna and Lanisha both help me with those calls though. So what we do is, on this form, there are resources that they need, and they check off the box. Many of them are unemployed and don't even have GEDs. So that's our first step, is those who don't have a GED, to help them get that done. But there's a lack of GED resources in the community. It actually costs to take the test, anywhere from $30 to $45. Of course, we lack the funding for that. So those who do have high school diplomas, many of them, when they got out of school, just went to work at places like Burger King, McDonald's, Walmart. So Mother's Love, what we want to show them is that you can actually have a career path. We have nursing, we now have Luther, training programs, and it's about the pricing though. It's anywhere from $1,000 to $1,800 just for the training to go through some of these courses where we lack funding. We also do the mentorship program. So as a mentor, you also have those ladies who are either not working at all, or they don't have their GEDs, they didn't graduate from high school, so they're just really, I would say, wasting the days away. So that's where the empowerment classes come in. If we can get them in there on Thursday nights from 5 to 7 p.m., and they're learning those skills and learning those empowerment classes, now it's just the next step of where do I go? And that's where I'm just going in circles. I just want to be honest right now. There's lots of programming that Hennepin County says they have, Ramsey County say they have, and it's just a rat race. You're running in circles, you send them here, that person sends you there, this person sends you here. So it would be amazing if we were just able to be the first step, the first stop and the last stop to help these girls and the boys now. When they say they're coming out the woodworks, they really are. So as the resource specialist, outreach specialist, we need funding, we need help. So if you find it in your heart to help, I appreciate it. I know they do. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let Lanisha talk. Hello, my name is Lanisha. I am an outreach specialist, and I also am in charge of the community center on West Broadway. I am. I'm sorry, guys. I'm very nervous. I'm not a speaker, but yes. Like they said, we play an important part with our community. Some people don't know which way to go certain days. I have people coming into the community center every day, about 4 or 5 times a day, maybe sometimes more, reaching out. Some people are thirsty. We have beverages in our community room. We have food that we're able to offer. If we're not fully stocked in our fridge, if people have certain allergies, we are able to go to this cup food store that's connected, sit down and break bread with people in our community. Also, just allowing them to feel the love that they lack on the streets or inside of their homes. So what we do, we take it to heart. Like Lisa said, she handpicked her people, and I am so thankful to be with her. I have been with A Mother's Love for 1 year now. And I'm so sorry. With meeting A Mother's Love, my son got into some trouble. He'd never been in trouble previous to, but he did get around the wrong crowd. And A Mother's Love allowed an avenue for my son. My son was able to do community service with A Mother's Love, and also with the community service, he gained a job opportunity. So he was not just doing community service, he was being paid. And also, he was able to connect. We had a fundraiser here probably a few months ago. And he was able, I've never seen my son connect, and he felt so comfortable. And so A Mother's Love did that for him. And it's not just my love, because I love him, but it was a team. We come as a collective whole. And so I just love how they gave my son an opportunity to feel like he belongs somewhere. And now he is going to be a part of the Lutheran, and they're pushing him. So I am very thankful. And with you guys' support, and also with the Mother's Love, you guys are going to keep us going. And so I am a parent who suffered many, many things. And I am grateful to be at this position right now. So thank you guys. We love your place. And we are now a family.
We feel blessed to have partnerships that help us do the things that we do, especially with Hennepin County, the Office of Violence Prevention. We take everything to heart, and we use resources the way they should be used. I drive my team crazy. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm texting them, hey, we should do this. Or they'll say, hey, we don't have enough money for that. Oh, no, we can do it. We can do it. I'll pay for it. Just do it. So I drive them crazy with making sure that we give the services. But the last thing I'll say is we also provide mentors. So for every person that comes to us to be a part of our program, we offer them a mentor to make sure that they make it through. Like when they go through the Luther training, we will be out there applauding them as they go in for their training. And we'll make sure they have stipends to get something to eat. The following week, the Luthers will give them money each week to survive on. But we'll make sure that they survive the first week. But we're going to be there like cheerleaders, cheering them on, and they've all been assigned a mentor to make sure that they make it through the training. But we thank you for having us here in this amazing house. And if you have any questions, we're ready. Yes.
Lisa, besides like donating, what other kinds of ways can our members be involved?
You can come in and speak if you have something to speak about. We would love for you to come in and speak. We don't just put people in career paths. We put people in jobs. We don't want anybody to believe that we don't believe every job is an important job. We teach soft skills training, so anything that you can offer, we would love. If you just want to come and sit in, we would love for you to come and sit in. If you want to come volunteer for something we're doing, we would love that. If you want to come walk with us now, I'm real with you. We walk a lot in North Minneapolis. kids. So you gotta be ready to come walk in North Minneapolis. But we go into Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, we all to the Mall of America. We're just everywhere. But you could definitely come in and just see where we work and ask us any questions. If you have hygiene stuff you want to donate, we need that a lot. So that would be even great. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering how many people you have as part of your organization?
23 and looking for more, because this lady here is responsible for us needing more. Because when she's in Metro Transit, her and her team, they bring us like 100 and something referral sheets within a week, and a lot of those people need resources for real. So they're not, and I'd like to just tell a story, but we had women who went through our 8-week empowerment class, and it wasn't until the last day, the graduation day, that we found out some of them were living in the very parking lot that we were doing the classes, sleeping in their cars, and some of them had been living in tents with their kids or just them, and it took them 8 weeks to feel comfortable enough to tell us that. So when they were coming in, while they were getting a stipend, because we give them $15 an hour and it's a 2-hour class, but we also feed them and we give them, that much needed love. But it took them that long to get over what they believed was the embarrassment of living out there. But we at the end felt good that we were able to help them beyond that. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned a Luther organization, and I'm not familiar with what you were referring to.
So the Luther family is a car dealership.
Yes.
The Luther
okay.
family. If I got a minute, I could tell you how we met them. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
So we were invited by Cub Food to go out on the golf course, and none of us golf. She claims she does. We saw her in action, so that's iffy. But we all take good pictures, though, I can say that. But we worked, and it was like a fundraiser for us to be out there, and we learned some real financial stuff out there from some of those golfers. But we took a lot of pictures, and we posted them on social media, and Andrea reached out to me in an inbox message on Facebook and said, hey, I see that you guys like golfing. I'm a golfing pro. I said, yeah, we like pictures at golfing. We don't actually know how. She said, oh, I would love to teach you. And so I met her, we met at this golf course, and we talked, and I'm not teachable. I'm just gonna be real about it. I'm just not teachable, but I'm willing to stand out there and look pretty. But she said, so we had lunch, and from that, we grew this friendship. I mean, this amazing friendship, and her name in the phone was Andrea Keller. So that's what I thought her name was. For 8 months, I thought her name was Andrea Keller. And a couple of times she brought her husband, and he met us for lunch at Olympic Golf Course. And that's a shameless plug. He met us at Olympic Golf Course, and we're just talking, and he said, I really like your position on things. I like the work you're doing. How can I help? And I didn't know what to say, because I don't really like asking. They get mad at me. I don't really like asking. And so I talked to him about my idea to have this outreach house so that women could come and feel comfortable and feel like they're in their own home. And then we can really talk, because we had rented a house before, and that was the outcome. So he said, if you got this house, what would be the one thing you wanted? And I said, a pink door. And he said, a pink door? Why? And I said, so it can light the way for women to come to us. And so he ended up talking. He said, well, I own some businesses. And I said, oh, you do? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, where are they? He said, well, in Brooklyn Park. I said, oh, I live in Brooklyn Park. Where? And he said, on Brooklyn Boulevard. I said, oh, I live by Brooklyn Park Boulevard. Where? And he said, well, all Brooklyn Boulevard, the Luther. I said, you're a Luther? I had never, because I thought they were Kellers, because that's the name. That was her maiden name. So that was the name that I locked her into my phone. I said, you're the Luther family? And she started laughing. I said, you're Luther? I mean, I was in just disbelief. I said, you don't have a business, son. You have businesses. And so I'm just looking at her. She says, yeah, I'm a Luther. I'm his wife, and so we started laughing. But I was really glad that I got to know her as Andrea Keller and not as Andrea Luther. Even if she told me her name was Andrea Luther, I still would probably never make the connection. But I got to have an authentic relationship with her and her husband. So they bought this house, they came to the closing. Before that, we were actually working out of our trunks. All of us were, everybody had their kit in our trunks. So we were working out of our trunks, we didn't have a home. And so they bought this house, they came to the closing. The person who found the house for us, his name is Jay Ettinger. He left all of his money on the table for us to furnish this house. The man who came out to inspect the house before we could close on it, he left his fee so that we can use his fee for the insurance on the house. And it was just like God was bringing everything full circle for us. Now y'all know I held it in all that time. So now we're on this project where we're trying to buy another house, and we're going to use the bedrooms as personal rooms for at least 3 mothers. You can only have 1 kid to do this project, but we'll put different locks on those bedrooms, and they would have their own bedroom with their own key or entry, and then they would share the rest of the house. But in the process, they'll have to go through training for a trade or their college degree to get into a different discipline. So they'll have 2 years to do that, and then 1 year to live there while they work and get acclimated to that new career and put some savings away, and then they will have to part way so that the next group can come in. And I am so excited about this idea of making this happen, and we will make it happen. You always want to get a tissue. But I'm excited to be working with the Luther family and anyone here who wants to partner with us and help us. We really would appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about, tell us more about the Metro Transit program.
So Metro Transit, like 2 years ago, right before COVID, we did some work with Metro Transit, and once they resumed this year, they called us to come back out. So we go to different, I'll actually let Nina explain what her location, she supervised that.
Okay, so we started about 2 months ago as the weather got ready to break. So we leave out of the BCTC Transit. That's the busiest transit there is, the Brooklyn Center Transit. And so we have a team that stays at the BCTC Transit. We have a team that rides the C line, which is one of the most rambunctious bus routes around, and then the D line, which is changing. The D line is changing. They have some new things coming for the D line. So we have a team that leaves South Minneapolis. They go to the Mall of America, and then they come all the way back to the Brooklyn Center Transit, and then back over south. So we're making our presence known on the bus, with the bus drivers, with the people that really use the transit. What we found in the last couple of weeks, our frequenters are no longer frequent. So they'll come back and they say, we got a job, we had some hookups in Brooklyn Center where they were able to get some jobs. So that piece of it is just so people that really use Metro Transit, like some of the elders and people that are getting to work, they're not having as many problems. Another thing on the transit is homelessness. A lot of homeless people use the transit system. So they do have people from the transit team on the bus for the Homeless Connect. So what we've learned in the last few weeks is if you're homeless, if you actually take the transit to Bloomington, the Homeless Connect person is in Bloomington. They can get a person Section 8, they can put them in housing, and then we can work with them from there as well. So we have had mothers, because mothers, again, like downtown, bring their kids to the transit. And so because we also have a partnership with Child Protection, we work with Child Protection to try to keep families out of child protection, we're able to say, hey, you know, this is not a good, safe place for your child to be at the transit. And getting them into some homes and getting them into school, getting those babies into daycare. Those are the important pieces for families to survive, especially with the young people. But we really just try to keep the transit safe for people that utilize the transit to go to work, to come home, to go to the grocery store. So the transit is doing some wonderful things as well. And we're trying to build our team a little bit larger because it is a big reach. We probably see 100 people at the transit alone, and then on the buses, you know, there's quite a few people, but the bus drivers are very appreciative, very supportive as well.
And I'll add some of what we see at transit that she does deal with is when people are waiting outside the shelter because they're afraid to go inside the shelter. So making sure that we clear the way for them to actually stand inside the shelter, moving people who are using drugs out of that shelter space. But we are grateful to Metro Transit too for their partnership and their large outreach to try and make changes on transit.
I don't live here. I live in Denver, Colorado, but when you say we move them out so that the people who need to be in the shelter can, I gotta tell you, any two of you could do that. I can see right now, I get this picture in my mind, and you are walking in, and you're saying, get out of here, you don't need to be in here. Anyway, I admire your work, but that was a great visual for me.
And it's a very soft touch. It's like, hey, what are you doing?
But we try to get them to some type of resources in the process of that, so it's not like, get out of here, get somewhere. We try to get them to some resources.
You may just want to get out of there.
Yeah, some of them know when they see us coming, they walk out on their own. Like, here they go. Yes, ma'am.
Are you carrying Narcan on your box?
Yes, so we have kits that was created by Monica down there. So we have kits that have emergency. We took a Stop the Bleed class as well. So we're all trained in CPR, first aid, stop the bleed, de-escalation, Narcan. They use injections. I'm gonna need some nasal Narcan because if you gotta inject anything, I just can't do it.
The sheriff, the one will give you nasal. She gave our Safety Plus nasal.
She's doing another training for us on the 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, those relationships are so important, even with law enforcement. Those relationships, you know, that's my other hat. So those relationships are very, very important. And we get a lot of families referred to us from law enforcement because they don't want to arrest or don't want to take their kids, or if it's a house they go into and they just need food, they'll call us and say, hey, can you guys just get them some food over here? So those relationships matter. Yes, ma'am.
I'm impressed by your colors. Your shirts are could you talk a little bit about how you came up with, I see that as a very positive program to wear the pink like that, and you're not threatening, but you're very visible. It reminds me of the whole breast cancer thing.
We wear those.
I'm impressed with it, and can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yes, I'll tell you this, we do have breast cancer awareness pink shirts that we do wear. We have pride shirts, multicolored pride shirts that we do wear, and purple domestic violence shirts as well. They all have the Mother's Love logo on the front and who we're supporting on the back. So the colors, my team was even shocked by this. When I got our first opportunity to come out, remember I said Chief Arredondo and Deputy Chief Art Knight called us out, and he said, you know what I was thinking, Lise? Now I trained both of them in when they were rookies. And so Deputy Chief Art Knight said, you know what I was thinking, Lise? He's the only one in America who calls me that. And he said, I think you should wear pink shirts. And maybe black pants, but pink shirts. I think you should wear pink shirts. That's where it came from. That's where it came from. He said it's a positive color, it's bright for people to see, it's friendly, and that's where it came from.
Do you have that pink door on that house?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we had a neighbor across the street who said, I don't like that pink door. But everybody else on the block just loved it, came out, looked at it. So I did a Zoom call with him and I told him before we get started, I'm not changing the color of the door. And so anything else we could talk about? And we just ended up talking and we're gonna meet, and he just lived right across from us, but I told him we're very, very friendly, you can come over, but the pink door just drove him nuts, but he's okay with it. Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about somebody referring them to us, what is the composition of your group? I mean, how many of you comprise us?
23. There's 23 total, but we have different areas that we operate in. So we get referrals from Hennepin County. We get referrals from Bloomington. We get referrals from the Minneapolis Police Department. We get referrals from Metro Transit.
Yeah, but I understand the referrals, but how many of you there's 23 of you that deal with all these referrals?
Yes, ma'am. Because they all need something different.
And how do you increase that number?
It's her who increases. We need more people, but we don't have enough money to hire more people. We honestly are overworked with 23 people. So, and we still have a boots on the ground component when there's a hostage situation, mental health situation, a shooting, a homicide, we get called out on that as well. So we respond to be the comfort for the community. Never have we been asked to come out, whether it's a police shooting or us shooting someone, a domestic violence situation that could go bad, we get called out. So the Minneapolis Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, it could be Bloomington Police Chief, if they call us, we go. We'll sometimes get a call at 11 o'clock at night, midnight, 2 in the morning, and somebody will respond. So we do a lot. People thought we just respond to scenes, but we do follow those families. We help them through that traumatic experience. We help them apply for funding to help them with burial. But more than anything, we try to be there for them. We'll go to the hospital and sit with the families. If they have kids there, we'll send out for some food. If we're at a crime scene and there's kids there, we'll give them our cell phones, move them away from the scene to occupy their time. Because that's a traumatic experience for them. That's something they won't forget. That's something they'll go to school. That's part of that invisible suitcase that I talked about before when I came here, where we compact all of those things, all of those experiences in an invisible suitcase, and then by the time they go to kindergarten, we're wondering why they're acting out. And it's because of what they've seen and experienced far beyond their years before they even get to kindergarten.
So there's just 23 of you?
Yes, but you know, you can fund our family. No, but we do need more. We really do.
Now the 23 of you are paid?
No, some of them volunteer. Some of them are short-term for whatever reason we need them for. But the top tier here are paid. And then if we do boots on the ground, our teams are definitely paid because it's so dangerous out there. But there's other people who come in and just volunteer time. People from the community come in and just volunteer time. When we were feeding families through COVID and through the riots, we had so many people come to volunteer to help us. And how many people did we feed?
We fed 270,000 people from May of 2020 through October of 2020.
Wow. And she would call me in the morning and say, Lisa, there's no food out here for anybody. And she said, Pastor Jeff, Gethsemane Church, he said, do we just gonna pray on it? I said, well, why y'all praying? I'm gonna go on Facebook and get us some resources. And it would just fill the whole lot. It was just every single day.
6 days a week.
God bless that lot. So that our community, we say bringing back the village. So our village made sure that we had everything we needed, including Target. Target donated as well. So it was amazing. It was when I realized how much we love each other in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota, because we were getting stuff from St. Cloud, Bemidji. It was when I realized how much we love each other, and it was not by race, it was not by gender. We served anybody and everybody, and the volunteers were reflective. I called, we were starting to get a lot of people from the Somali community who weren't English speaking, the Asian community, Hispanic, and I reached out to elected officials of that background, and they sent me somebody out there to interpret while they were out there to make sure that we were meeting the full needs of the people in our great state of Minnesota. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do to take care of yourself?
So,
I have to tell this one. 15 months, no, almost a year and a half ago, my husband passed away. And we had a lot of death in that 1 month. And I came back to work, not quite here mentally. And Lisa, we went to a crime scene, and Lisa calls me the next morning, and she says, "You have an appointment on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Don't be late, and you better be there." I said, "Well, where am I going?" She said, "Grief and trauma. And don't come to work until you get done with the meeting." I'm like, Lisa makes sure. What is nice about how Lisa runs this organization is that she handpicked every single staff person, not just based on your resume, but based on your life experiences. So whatever life experience we're running into on the streets, where somebody on the team's got that experience. And if you start to look, think, if she thinks that you're burned out, she's sending you home, she's sending you to the therapist that she has on call for us to see. And every now and then we get blessed, and somebody will donate some money, and they'll say, "Go take your team," and she takes us to get facials. I had never had a facial.
None of us on here had ever had.
Or one of our donors, one of the gentlemen that donates to us every so often, he said, "Take your team to Vegas for a weekend."
Yes.
So we Lisa makes sure that we take care of ourselves.
But Lisa needs to take care of
Herself.
herself. So we're on her as well. Yes. And she knows I'll call Mama.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
Do you coordinate with Tubman, Alexandria House, the other groups that are throughout the community that do not all and not exactly the same way, but some of the same types of things that you're talking about?
So with Tubman, we do referrals to them. We've not had like a partnership with them, but we do partner with Hennepin County organizations, PSOP. They've been amazing with helping us get people into housing. That's one of the hardest things to have. I mean, it's just, there's no resources for it, which is sad and unfortunate because we've had so many dollars come through our state. So you would think that there would be some real set-aside money for housing, but we'll get there. We are that kind of state, we will get there. But we partner with a lot of organizations who are on the ground, who are in the community, who people are familiar with and not familiar with. We try to unite people who do same work so that parents can know. If I can give this example, and I'm very sad to give this example, we had a group of young kids who were in a stolen car. They took the police on a chase. They had assaulted an elderly woman, took her car. The police ended up on a chase with them, a very short chase. They were young kids, 15, 16. They crashed, and they were ejected from that vehicle, and I won't be descriptive. They were ejected from that vehicle, and they all died. I'll never forget the mom at the scene. She had the 13-year-old, the youngest in the car. And she was crying and she said she saw the change in him when he was 10 years old. Father was in prison, but she had seen the changes, but she didn't know where to go, who to call, what to do. So my thought is always, we have some amazing youth organizations working in our community. Why didn't she know they exist? And for me, that would mean we're not doing a good job at making sure that people know we exist, how they can reach us, how they can call on us. And I'm hoping that Office of Violence Prevention is the organization that changes that, so that the community does know those resources are out there. I really more need in the world want to create an emergency line. Because we get a lot of calls from moms whose sons are in trouble or headed towards trouble, but they don't have like one number to call, so that that information can then be put out to all of these different organizations that provide a service. So I'm hopeful that the Office of Violence Prevention will take the lead on that in this next year. Yes, sir.
Do you have any strategies for dealing with gangs that are recruiting kids?
So we do that. Look,
I would say, right now, the gangs is not really our biggest problem. It's the auto thefts. And so and they're so young. So it's just like having a body without a head. And so we are having community meetings right now to try to figure out, what do we do? When we go into JDC, we're asking them, why are you getting in this car driving and you don't know how to drive? And it's the adrenaline rush. So a lot of it comes from COVID, them being isolated during COVID, not being made to go to school. So let's talk about the breakdown of the family first. First, we had child protection coming in telling parents, you can't discipline your children. And then we told the teachers, you can't discipline your children. Then we told the police, you can't discipline your children. Well, who's supposed to give the kids discipline and structure? Because you've taken all that away. So now that it's all gone, we have to replace it. And so we're trying to figure out good ways to replace it. They won't go to school because the way that we learn is so different. They're light years ahead of us. So really, the gangs are not our problem right now. It's more of the Lone Rangers. And then they recruit other kids, and the kids are getting younger and younger and younger. And so, again, once the way the cycle works, so you pick the kids up out of the police car, you take them down to JDC, JDC can't hold them, the parent has to come get them. If the parent doesn't come get them, then child protection is called, and then we start the cycle all over again. You get them home, they cut the ankle monitor off, they're gone again. They go down to JDC, you have to come pick them up, and it goes all over again. So we're trying to work together with the elected officials to figure out what is it that we do, because they close any program that would house them to be able to rehabilitate them. So we don't want to put them in prison, but we don't want them on the street. So as a community, and this is where everyone comes in, we all have to figure it out, because it's not a race thing. It's not an age thing. It's a generation, this last generation, all across the nation. So gangs for us right now is really the least of our worries. It's the violent, the criminal, they're getting more violent and more violent and more violent. And they're younger and younger and younger. If that answers your question.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you. We look forward to the event in July, the 26th. So, 25th.
Yes, 25th, July 25th, 5:30, 7:30 p.m. in the lounge and the loggia, etc. And I just want to thank all of you ladies for being here today, being our honored guests, being part of a 116-year-old tradition. So the speaker's table is big today, and I would encourage everyone who wants to talk more to come to the speaker's table. And then also when I leave, because I need to go downtown to the first precinct open house to be with the safety groups, just put your arm around the women from A Mother's Love and just sit and talk.
We like that.
Yeah, thank you.